Okay, next we have SAML, and SAML stands for the Security Association Markup Language. And what this is basically authenticating through a third party to gain access to some resource. Okay, so that resource being accessed isn't responsible for the authentication. You may see this a lot when you're browsing websites out on the internet. You might go to a website and it asks you to log in, but you're not going to log in on that site specifically. You might log in with your Google ID or email address or some type of open ID or your Facebook account or your Twitter account, right? These different things can act as a trusted third party that will pass through to the site you're trying to access. So the authentication requests are passed to that trusted third party server. The user authenticates to the third party server, as I mentioned. They're issued a token. That token is passed to the target resource. All right, so we have a client, we have a resource server that we're actually trying to get to, and then we have some AS server, right, the authentication service. That's going to be SAML in this case. So if we look at an example, we have a client, the resource server, and the AS server. Okay, so the user wants to access a URL. They want to go out to a resource. Well, what's going to happen is that resource server will post to the AS, okay, with an authorization request to the SAML server. If that user is not already logged in, then they're going to be asked to log in, right? They're going to log into that AS server or the SAML server, which is why I have that in gray here, because there's a good chance you may already be logged into one of these third-party services, right? And you may be logged into Twitter or Facebook or whatever ahead of time. So when that happens, you're actually redirected to the resource that you're trying to get to with the SAML token, and you're logged into that resource server and presented with the web page or the resource that you're trying to get to. So there are some SAML alternatives. All right, so the federated ID concept has several methods that are currently in use. SAML is not the only one. All right, SAML is one that we mentioned, obviously, but then we have also OpenID and also OAuth. So they all provide similar features and functionality. However, many of the most popular websites function as the trusted third party, quote unquote. They use either OAuth or OpenID. So if you log into a website using your Facebook credentials or your Google ID or your Twitter account and so forth, they're using one of those two. Probably not SAML, but the concept's the same. So I just want to make sure you understand the concept and how it's passed from that trusted third party onto the site that you're actually accessing.